this is who I am. In high school, I had this friend named Brady. Mm-hmm. He was so strong, he could pull a stop sign out of the ground.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
He had like this inhuman strength.
Was he on the wrestling team?
No, he wasn't. He was cousins. I don't want to get him in trouble, but so one day there's this guy named Todd. He was an older guy, maybe in his early 20s, and he was a weed dealer. So Brady, he was kind of like this big, kind of dumber kind of a guy. And I was a little guy. Yeah, and I was a little guy, and I could tell him what to do. I go, Todd's gone.
This is a Mice and
Mice and Men.
Men.
Mice and Men. Yeah, he was like Lenny.
Lenny.
I go, Brady, open the window to Todd's house, and we'll steal his weed. So he broke this window. And he broke it. I snuck into the little space. I stole his weed. And then what we did was we put it in my car, hid in my car, and we waited Todd to get home. And when he got home, we rang his doorbell. And he goes, I go, hey, can we buy some weed? He goes, someone broke into my house and stole the weed. And we helped him look for the guy.
Oh my God, you're one of those.
We help him look. We go, who did that? Right? And so for hours, him and we went down the streets, looked for cars. We know we had
You're
the weed.
a piece
right?
of shit.
Yeah, but I'm one of those drug addicts.
You know that there's that one kid.
Weaselly, yeah.
You know how you know who the suspect is? It's like that one kid who had murdered that little girl and hid her inside his waterbed.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And when the whole neighborhood
That's right.
went on a search, he was the first one to volunteer. But
His
I'll help you.
I'll help you. He had his flashlight and everything. I'll help you.
And in the meantime, the girl was
In his waterbed.
Yeah, inside his waterbed.
Yeah.
Where did you guys hear these stories?
Fucking Sword and Scale.
Oh, I can't listen to those anymore.
Yeah. And then what happened?
Yeah.
Why?
They're gnarly.
Yeah.
Too.
And then what happened was his mom, a week later, was walking through his room trying to clean it or whatever, and she sees like there's some fluid coming from like underneath his waterbed. Mm-hmm. And she goes, "What is that? Is that the waterbed popping? But it's dark, this fluid." Mm-hmm. And she puts her hand on it. It's red, and she looks in underneath the waterbed, and there's a dead carcass of this little girl that's been missing, right? And now, as a mother, she sat there for like a good 5 minutes, going, "What do I do?"
Man, that's
And then
horrible.
she walked down the street and went to a cop and said, I found her in my son's bed." Imagine that.
So horrible.
And
Yeah, it just kind of affected. Like I showed up at Opie and Jim over there with Jim Norton and at their show, and I was fucked up, you know. Couldn't even talk. I just had like my mouth open. Daryl Strawberry's there, you know, and he freaking, and I'm like Doc Gooden, you know. I'm out there, you know, look like I just been smoking the moon, you know, and I kept drinking coffees, and I couldn't close my mouth also, which was weird after a while, you know, when you can't even close your mouth, and they kept giving me hot coffee, and I was just like, damn, man. I just kept thinking, you know, I wouldn't have chose to be in this situation. If somebody would ask me a year earlier, hey, you want to go on Opie and Jim Norton, I'd have been like, yeah, I'm excited. And they're like, yeah, do you want to stay up do cocaine all night the night before you go on there? I'd have been like, no way, bro. I got to be in top condition when I get there. But here I was doing that, so I'm thinking I must not be making all of the choices for myself, you know, that the drugs was starting to make some choices for
How
me.
long had you been doing cocaine at that time?
Not that long, man, you know, and I just had a couple of, but every time I would get heavy into it, you know, maybe a couple of years, but just sparingly, occasionally.
But when you would go, you would go.
Yeah, when I would go, and I started to notice it was like, first it was like 6 times a year, you know, and then it became like once a month, and then it was becoming once a week, you know. And so I was like, oh, this is escalating, man. And that shit escalates quick, dude. Like one night I was in my apartment, dude, and I was all fucked up, and I used to put on, I had gotten a box of vests, dude. Somebody had ordered some vests, and I don't know if it was like a joke or somebody accidentally got some vests sent to the wrong person, you know, but I got a box of vests, you know, different types of, you know, vest shirts without arms, you know.
So, yeah.
And
different colors and everything?
Different colors, different styles, different patterns, everything. And so I would, like, at night I'd be doing all this cocaine and putting on these vests and shit and kind of, you know, like enjoying myself a little bit. Listening to some good music, you know, some Aerosmith or something, you know, just just vibing, you know. And one night I was making a milkshake because I don't like to eat, honestly. I like to make milkshakes more often. So I'm making a milkshake, and I left the blend, and I got the blender on, right? And I went outside of my apartment door, and the door locked, dude, right? It's like 4 a.m. My blender's going, right? I'm out there high on cocaine. I got on this vest, this kind of tangerine, kind of, I guess, I don't know what material it was, maybe like Mogadishu or something, you know, something fucking kind of fly. So this thing's fucking going, dude. There's only like 8 units in my building, right? So I'm like, and then I guess the machine started smoking, the alarm starts going off, right? Now it's 4 a.m., dude. I got the thing shorted out, thank God the blender shorted out, but I got the alarm going off in the building now. I'm standing outside of my apartment wearing boxers and this fucking orange vest, got on sunshades, and then my landlord comes out, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, you know, like, just look at the shit that's going on, you know, and now I gotta tell him I'm just up going to piss, you know, like, so just things like that started to get weird, you know. I remember I fell asleep in some lady's bed and just urinated in her bed, and she got angry, you know. And she let me sleep over, and I usually tell people before I sleep over that I'll wet the bed once in a while, you know. So, but anyway, man, it was just wild stuff started to happen. You know, I'll be over at people's houses, you know, just it's getting late, you know, you're touching some girl's crotch outside of an apartment building over there in, you know, Studio City or out near the airport, and you're like, what the fuck am I doing, you know? It's not bad, but I'm, you know, I did this already. I'm still doing this, you know? So that was some of the issues that I started to notice, some of the patterns, you know?
And it always ends with, if you ever need anything, contact me. You know? And I'm like, what do you mean by anything? And he goes, I got the best coke in town.
You do anything to smell it on you? What did that?
Right, because we're family. Right there, you're Cuban.
Yeah.
So as a matter of fact, follow me 2 blocks down, I'll throw a package in your hand.
Okay.
He threw a package in my hand for free that night. I went and did comedy, and I went to the Coach and Horses. It was Doug Stanhope. I mean, this all happened in one day, and I'm sitting at the table going, my life was crazy back then. It was me, Doug Stanhope, David Fulton, who was a comic friend of ours from Seattle from 95, lives in England now, Josh Wolf, his brothers. We would go to the store and then go to Coach and Horses. That night I had to cancel. This coke was so good I couldn't even talk. I remember I had to leave, and I was living in my car. And I had to go on Josh Wolf's block, park under a tree, and lay back with like 2 bottles of beer. And I sat there till 4 in the morning doing the little coke I had, jerking off. And that was the end of that fucking day.
Jesus Christ.
That was a great day.
And that's how you ended up at El Cochinito.
And the food, I remember the first time.
Sounds like a good Yelp review.
That's a fantastic
The
review.
first time I fucking went, it was like,
I ended
okay.
up jerking off out of a window.
Oh my God, it was fucking terrible. In a car, coked up to the
5
gills.
stars.
That fucking coke was good.
So did you hit him up again
Oh yeah, that night.
that night?
When that shit wore off, I made up some story. I gave somebody like a bump or 2, and they went crazy.
And then you had,
No,
how'd you,
the cocaine was off limits. Like this shit was just. It was.
how much were you doing at your max of coke? Like when you were really into
This
coke?
was probably 97,
Yeah.
and I was broke, but I could still get 20s from time to time. And at that time, I was doing 3-4 20s a week.
Okay.
Then I popped the Taco Bell commercial, and it was off.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was one of the first one with the dog.
And then you're like getting
Like,
checks.
yeah, I was just going to the dude's house. But at that time, I always hunted away, just like weed, to get. I met people who did cocaine and appreciated it.
Yeah.
There's people who were just salesmen, but there's people who are like, listen, you got to come over here now and bring whatever cash you got with you, because I usually get shit. Wait till you see this shit.
And they were not fucking with you.
And then I fuck with you. You go over there, and this shit is from 1980, the flake, the ether base. You know, if you learned in Narcos, and the season 3, the one that you really enjoyed, you go to buy the ether.
Yeah.
There was no ether. At one point in 85, cocaine was always tremendous. It always tasted delicious. That drip
Yeah.
When you went up to the bar and had that fucking Budweiser, Jesus Christ, and your throat would get numb and you're there fucking, I wasn't even smoking then. But there was a time by 86, 87,
Yeah.
that cocaine started getting funky. Started smelling like turpentine and fucking shoe polish. And it was so good, but the next day you kind of had a headache from whatever
Yeah.
the fuck you were snorting the night before. Gasoline. Because they couldn't get enough ether in.
Because there was like a cutoff, right? Some supplier.
They couldn't get enough in. Like at that point, they were making so much cocaine
God damn.
that they couldn't get enough ether.
I never.
alcohol.
You romanticize it to the point where I want to try.
I knew at that point, I knew what was going on. Like I remember people going. I remember I used to fly back and forth with Danny B, who calls into the podcast.
Yeah.
I used to fly back and forth with packages, and one time I went to see him, and he goes, "Listen, this guy usually wants 9. At that time, he wanted 86 and 9600 for a quarter kilo, which at that time was whatever it comes out to 9.5 ounces. I have no idea. I'm not a mathematician. The price dropped by 2,000. He goes, if you want, he goes, I'll get you that one, but try this shit for 2,000 less. It might work for you. And he brought it over. Fucking the coke put me in another planet. There was only one problem. It smelled like fucking cat piss.
Really.
Oh my God, in a horrible way.
Really.
And guess what the Jew Cuban did that I did?
What?
I brought that cat piss back with
You
me.
did.
And no matter what you cut it with, it was cat piss. And people were bringing it back to me. People were like, you can't. So that was the coke that you bought and turned into crack.
The cat piss.
The
coke.
cat pit, because then they don't give a fuck. They're smoking it.
Yeah.
They don't taste that cat piss.
It doesn't taste like cat piss when you smoke
So
it.
then there was a period.
But when you snort it, what? It sticks with you?
it sticks with you, like
Yeah.
it's just, it doesn't smell good. Like
Yeah.
it just doesn't smell good.
What does regular Coke smell like?
Delicious, paradise,
But I mean, really?
fucking paradise. When the ether based
Yeah.
cocaine,
Smells good.
79 through 86.
How hard was it to quit coke?
It was easy because I was done.
You were already
Like
made
I
your
was done.
choice.
I couldn't. At that point, I had a lot of variables why, and it was a lot easier than people think. I was done. But once I missed. I realized that I wasn't getting high to get. It wasn't enjoyable no more. Like marijuana right now, I could see it falling off the map any day now.
Really?
Yeah, I can see myself. I can see myself just doing edibles or something to calm me down for a while, just to save the little bit of lung I got left.
Oh, stop smoking.
It doesn't take a genius to know I got the beginnings of emphysema. You don't have to be a genius.
So you can do it then. Do that, man. Save your lungs.
No. And that's what, with cocaine, it was the same thing. I just knew that when I was doing cocaine for so long that I was getting jolts in my spine at the end of the night. Jolts of electricity, like Castro's men hitting you with a zapper.
That is terrifying.
And that's
dude.
not good. That's not
Jesus
good.
Christ.
That means
So you're like,
yes. That means, and I was getting one a night, once a week, and then it started to get 2 a night.
that's fucking
Once I
terrifying.
started to get 2 a night, I could just see my wife waking up to go pee, and seeing my fat little legs in the kitchen laying there purple.
And you're like,
And I'm like, and I said I can't do it. So that was.
Jesus Christ.
You have to know you have to be.